information about him here, most of which you probably know, but some of which perhaps you don't. For 5 decades, people all over the world have been turned on to the music of Terry Callier. During the 1960s, recordings for chess and prestige made him a leading figure of the early folk boom. In the 1970s, 3 records for chess cadet and 2 for electro crystallised his style, a unique brand of soul, featuring jazz-influenced compositional structures and themes of social awareness. In the 80s and early 90s, during Terry's self-imposed period of retirement from music, the chess cadet recordings were unearthed by acid jazz and northern and southern UK soul listeners, who were lured by his deeply moving poetry and musical eclecticism. This prompted Terry's return, and he began extensively touring and recording, sharing his music with a new generation. Terry was born in Chicago on May 24, 1945. He grew up in a North Side neighbourhood alongside Jerry Butler, Major Lance and Curtis Mayfield. Terry said that was a dynamite neighbourhood. All of us were doo-wopping at the time in different groups, you can only imagine. He and his buddies were often found walking down South Michigan Avenue, home to labels like VJ and Chess, amongst others, singing for anyone who listened. In 1962, at the age of 17, one of his visits to Chess Records paid off and Terry signed his first record contract. 4 tracks were recorded. In 1963, the single Look At Me Now was released. In 1964, Terry was signed to do an album for Prestige Record. The New Sound of Terry Callier was recorded in 1965 and produced by Sam Charter. Charter took off and disappeared to Mexico with the tapes, and the record remained unreleased until 1968. Around this time, Terry became a presence on the Chicago nightclub circuit, a mainstay of the city folk blues scene. He was a regular headliner in the city's finest live music rooms, including Mother Blues, the Earl of Old Town, and the Jazz Showcase. It was whilst he was playing with his group and jamming with visiting musical dignitaries like David Crosby and Roger McGuinn that the producer, Joe Siegel, coined the phrase folk jazz to describe Terry's music. In 1970, Terry joined the Chicago Songwriters Workshop, Jerry Butler's famed songwriters cooperative, and in 71-72, with Larry Wade, Terry wrote The Love We Had Stays On My Mind for the Dells. It was a US top 20 hit, and it led to a record deal with the Cadet label, a subsidiary of Chess Records. And over the next few years, Terry recorded his 3 classic albums for Cadet. Occasional Rain in 1972, What Colour Is Love in 1973, and I Just Can't Help Myself in 1975, all produced by Charles Stepney. Terry also embarked on his first national tour, where he was heard in a featured spot alongside artists like Gil Scott-Heron, George Benson, and Grover Washington Jr. In 1977, Terry was signed by Elektra Records by Don Mizell. He recorded 2 albums, Fire on Ice in 1977 and Turn You to Love in 1978. Like the Cadet albums, both Elektra releases were well received by the critics. In 1981, Terry's daughter, Sunny, came to live with him. He retired from music to work as a computer programmer for a social services organisation connected to the University of Chicago. Of this decision, he said, "When I got custody of my daughter, I had to give up music to raise her properly. She needed me, and the music business just didn't seem like a viable option at that point." However, in the second half of the 80s, London's acid jazz scene was just beginning to discover Terry's music. The 3 Cadet albums became essential collector's items for the prospective beathead. Terry's music was heavily requested in UK venues, and Kevin Beadle with Charlie Records released the Best of Terry Callier on Cadet compilation. In 1991, Eddie Pillar of the label Acid Jazz tracked Terry down and released a new version of I Don't Want to See Myself on an EP. I am often reminded that there are people listening to the music who weren't in this world when some of the songs were originally recorded, said Terry. I just hope the circle remains unbroken and continues to grow. It did, and it does. In 1994, Adrian Gibson invited Terry to perform music from the 3 Cadet albums over 2 nights at the Jazz Cafe. Ross Dewberry presented Terry at his famous jazz bop session on the same trip. and Russ asked Dave Barnard to put together the backing band to perform alongside Terry. This band reproduced the sound and feel of Terry's music so perfectly that they continue to be his backing band on all European dates and later on worldwide tours, and they also made various recordings with Terry. 1996, now under the care of Meira from Positive Management, Terry signed a recording deal with Verve Records. 1997, Terry recorded 3 tracks with Beth Orton, released on Heavenly Records. 1998, Verve Records and Giles Peterson and Talking Loud released Terry's new album, Timepiece. The title track from that album was awarded a Peace Award by the UN. 1999, Talking Loud released Lifetime in the UK and Europe. 2000, Verve Music Group released Lifetime in the US. 2001, Mr. Bongo released Alive at the Jazz Cafe. 2002, Mr. Bongo released Speak Your Piece, where Terry collaborated with Paul Weller and 4Hero. 2004, Universal Worldwide and Mr. Bongo in the UK released Looking Out. 2007, Virgin released The Best of Massive Attack, and a single featuring Terry called Live With Me. It reached number 15 in the UK charts. 2009, Hidden Conversations. Terry's last studio album was released by Mr. Bongo. 3 tracks on that album were collaborations with Massive Attack. From 1997 until 2010, Terry and his band toured extensively all over the world. The UK, Japan, Singapore, Australia, New York, France, Italy, Germany, Austria, Serbia, Estonia, Turkey, Scandinavia, playing clubs, venues and festivals, allowing people to bask in his warmth, his art and his poetry, sometimes moving his audience to tears, always creating an inviting atmosphere filled with soulfulness, love and humour. Terry is one of the great unsung heroes, and he has left a legacy of beautiful music which will live on forever. Thank you.
Yeah!